when it comes to investing, a lot of people think like, oh, I had to have $200,000, $1 million, a few $1,000,000. I don't have the money, but eventually I'll invest. And if you have that mindset of eventually, then eventually will never happen.
Right.
And because the reality is you are where you are until you make a sacrifice.
First and foremost, Phil, tell us, where are we right now?
We are in Albany, Georgia.
Albany, Georgia, and what are we standing on right now?
So we're standing on the new development site for a 32-unit development right here in Albany, Georgia on 108 South Carroll Street.
Got it. And you guys are developing this here. What number one, how long of a do you mind breaking down the numbers? Like how long of a project, the numbers, what does the numbers look like?
For sure.
And what value is this going to add to Albany? We were just with the commissioner, right? So can you break it down a little bit for somebody who doesn't even know why developing even matters in the first place?
Man, so currently Albany is experiencing a shortage of housing, and also housing for people that are experiencing homelessness, right? And so what that means is affordable housing, right? Affordable housing, when you break down that word, it's not just for somebody that's on low income or anything. That's a whole nother category of housing. Affordable housing is for people that have a job, that are working, working class or what have you, but the area is a little bit more expensive, and you need something that's a little bit below market rate to make it feasible for new home ownership, right? And so for people that are experiencing homelessness, it means that like there could be apartments or homes that are a little bit too much, but they have a job, they're getting on their feet, and they're working themselves up to be back into society. So they need something that's affordable within their budget, but also gives them the amenities, right? And a lot of times we forget about everybody in development, right? And so this development, I want to make sure that we are considering everyone, right? And the city of Albany have partnered with us to do that, which I think is phenomenal. It's an honor and a privilege to do this development for them.
Fantastic. So with that being said, right, I'll ask you to give me advice for two kind of people. One is the person that, has the money, but, they have their job or whatever the case may be. They would love to do this kind of stuff, but they don't have the time. Yeah. How would you advise them to get into it without necessarily being involved, managing, coming on the ground, and dealing with all the headaches?
I would say what you just explained to me, that sounds like an investor.
Right.
So I would say that investing your money with a group that can execute, right? And the execution ensures the return.
Right.
So that would be my recommendation, because when it comes to investing, a lot of people think like, oh, I had to have $200,000, $1 million, a few $1,000,000. I don't have the money, but eventually I'll invest. And if you have that mindset of eventually, then eventually will never happen.
Right.
And because the reality is you are where you are until you make a sacrifice, right? And so what we try to do is build an opportunity for people that may not have $200,000 to $1 million or a couple $1 million, for them to be able to invest in larger projects, right? Where they can bring 25,000, you bring a pool of people, that development happens, they get a return, and they can then at that point, after 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, depending on how safe.
Yes,
some people are safe,
absolutely.
and some people like to take risks. Depending on that risk, then they're able to do it on their own with the capital that they've made off of their investments.
Got it. Would you agree, if they invest into this, it's not just about, obviously building the homes, but there's also a greater mission behind, which is providing the jobs, providing the housing as well. Their capital do serve in that mission as well? Absolutely.
And that's an excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people think about the asset, right? And they think about the capital. Right. But people are crucial to the asset and capital, because you may build the asset, but people have to live in it. They have to purchase it, rent it, buy it, whatever, right? So what you're doing for communities when you build an asset in certain neighborhoods is far more richer than the capital that you receive from it. And speaking of, you're talking about single parents, that are looking for housing.
Yes.
You're making housing affordable. You're building houses so they can have a place to live. College students, new families, like the list goes on. So what you're doing for a community or for a city or for a county is phenomenal, and it far surpasses the amount of capital that you take in, because at the end of the day, your capital may be 2 years. A mortgage is 30.
Yes.
So that's generations.
Yes. Okay. A last question for me, and I'll let Andrew go, is let's now take the person who's already in real estate but started through wholesaling real estate, which is obviously finding ugly houses or even land, put it under contract and sell that contract, or maybe they've been doing fix and flips, but they would love to jump into new developments. What advice would you have for that person that is new in that field? Number one, how to find a mentor in the local area, and number two, how to approach and get started and get away from the fear of even starting in the first place.
Yeah. To answer your question, it's very simple. Okay. And we, as people, tend to complicate things we don't understand, right? Yeah. And like I tell students when I give speeches at colleges or high schools or middle schools, I always say this: if you want to be an electrician and you want to be a successful electrician, because there's a difference,
yes.
Find somebody that's successful in that field,
right.
and allow that person to mentor you, right. What you're going to gain from that is eliminate a lot of trial and error, because you got experience on your side, somebody that's able to coach you through the process, right? And then on top of that, you get to, before like spending any money or making any mistakes or buying anything, you get to look at everything from a bird's eye view and figure out, you know what, if I do it this way, this will work. If I do it this way, it'll work. And you have somebody to coach you and walk you through that, right? Okay. So when it comes to the development, if you are looking to get in there and you're in fix and flips, because I did that before. I've done that. The new construction world is very different. It's very different in the sense of banks and lenders want to see experience. They want to see 4 properties on title, meaning that you've built and sold 4 properties yourself, which is very unfair, because that means you have to have a lot of capital. They don't count. Fix and flips don't count. That means you have to have a lot of capital before you go to the bank. And the unfair thing about being successful is the banks want to see money before they give you money. Right. So it's an unfair advantage. Yes. So my thing, I would get with someone that's already in the field, that's already developing and building it, partner with them. Get a few not fix and flips, because we've already done that. Get a few new bills on title while you're learning the trade. Right. And that, to me, is the best thing that you can do for your time and your money.
Man. And guys, if you're wondering, well, I'm maybe not valuable at all, how can I approach somebody who's already building, they really don't need me, I have nothing to basically bring to the table? Well, you do. If you have a background in wholesaling, for example, the way you can be valuable is like going out and doing the acquisition on the raw land, and then you find local developers where you can sell them the land. And as you build those relationships while you're wholesaling that, well, guess what? If you really add value to them, and sometimes you're willing to take discounts on your assignment fees, they will mentor you, hands-on. The second way you can do it is learning how to raise private capital. That's also valuable for some of these developers, where if you know how to have a presence on social media, go to the networking events, and build these relationships and raise private capital, that's also value you can bring to the table. Would you agree?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Look, my man's sitting game. I'm like what he said.
you would agree, right?
Yeah,
that's how you can bring value to the table.
Very true. And like I said, some people have the skill set to raise capital, to engage people, and sometimes you don't have to use your own money. Right. And the beautiful thing about this conversation, we're not selling anything.
Yes.
And everybody's trying to sell something, and we've all been through that, where somebody's selling you a program or trying to sell you a way to do something. Right. They make capital, and they share you information that only gets you so far. Yes. Well, what we're talking about is actual action items that you can take to make a profit and to be successful.
100%. Thank you, man. Thank you.